Yo, what's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. Oh my god. We're back with another video. Today we're watching Saiyan. What if the Z fighters grew like Saiyans? You know what I'm saying? I think we're watching part 5, maybe 6 today. So let's get into it, man.
Everyone here has grown stronger, surpassed him. People who were formerly students are now way above him, and it makes him think to himself. He hasn't really changed much. As the guardian of Earth, there could be better ways for him to protect it. He does want to upgrade the Dragon Balls, but even if he does try to upgrade them, Shenron really can't surpass his power. Kami thinks to himself, he needs to be stronger too, just like the other warriors. If he wants to be an effective guardian, he wants the powers to back it up. Even though he's not necessarily a fighter, he still does want that power. I mean, even look at his other half, Piccolo, how strong he's got. Kami may not be a warrior like Piccolo is, but that doesn't mean he's weak, and that doesn't mean he has no potential to grow stronger. And he actually has the perfect idea of what to do. Months and months pass. During this little time skip, we see a few different things. Tien still stays in Otherworld, continuously training there, learning as many new techniques and abilities
That's
as
what's
he can.
up. Good
He
for
does pick up
Tien.
on a few interesting things. But probably the most important part is that he grows stronger in general. He could train there non-stop. It's amazing. And there's so many ways for him to train, so many people he could spar with, so many great masters. There's infinite teachings available here. It is Otherworld after all. You're there for eternity. As long as you're not being brought back by the Dragon Balls, that is. So it makes sense that there's so much knowledge for him to look at. He even ends up meeting a pretty interesting training partner named Piker, who we may be seeing more of later. But at some point, he decides he does need to go back. He could stay here, growing stronger forever, but he does yearn to go back to Earth, see his friends there, actually defend it, utilize that power for something. While this quest for power and knowledge is great, he feels like in Otherworld, he can't really use it too well. He wants to put it to use in the living world. I mean, he will be back here someday anyways, so it doesn't matter if he leaves right now. And who knows, maybe he could be alive and come back here too. Just like how Piccolo went to King Kai's planet, although they'd have to make an exception for him. But thankfully, King Kai and Tien grow a pretty strong connection. Tien spends a lot of time on his planet training under him, and King Kai encourages him to learn the Kaioken. He could pull it off, but he kinda sees why Tien doesn't want to try it. Especially as a human, he probably would be naturally disadvantaged using it. Roshi is one thing. The mastery and knowledge that he already had when he's old, combined with the eternal youth that he now has, it makes for a great combo. And it might not be as effective as it is with Piccolo, but the Kaioken does hugely benefit him. And he can find ways to work around it, make it stronger, perfect it somehow. But for Tien, he doesn't want to try that. Although, he does end up learning the Spirit Bomb. He's not completely pure, but he's definitely good of heart by now. And training in Otherworld has really helped him, gaining control over his heart, calming himself. Tien is seeing sizable gains, and even though he's not getting new forms just yet like some of the others, he's growing in his own ways. He's brought back to Earth, and immediately, he sees Piccolo in Kami's clothing.
Piccolo.
Or that's what it looks like at first. This is actually Kami. Wait, he's not wrinkly anymore. What's going on? Kami explains. He ended up upgrading the Dragon Ball, but before he did so, he wanted to make sure he could give them more power. Now they can grant 3 wishes like Namex, but more importantly, Kami's wish for eternal youth, just like King Piccolo did, and just like Roshi did. He gained immense amounts of power. Of course, he's not as strong as he once was when he and Piccolo were merged, but the other Earthlings agreed. He's grown way stronger from this. And by extension, Shenron is far stronger too. Well, Tien has a lot of catching up to do, and he thanks Kami for that. Glad to see him now in this new state. And Kami says it was necessary. In order to be a more effective guardian of Earth, he wanted to become younger. And he looks forward to seeing what Tien learns so far.
What the hell?
Especially now that Kami's so much stronger, he might be able to teach Tien a bit more. Of course, it's not like he's stronger than Tien, but with more strength to back his knowledge up, he could still be a very effective teacher. So, Tien's grown a lot stronger, and so has Kami. Everyone else has kept up with their training, of course, too, but Vegeta's a pretty unique case. He wants to get Super Saiyan, so he goes out in space to do so, doing some intense training out there, and he knows exactly where to go. It's a planet he was sent to before as a distraction, but from what he briefly saw there, the inhabitants, they seem like they have some weird abilities. He doesn't know how strong they truly are, but that's what he wants to find out. He's going to pursue a different type of training. He doesn't know how to access Super Saiyan otherwise. He needs to think outside the box. And hey, even if he doesn't learn Super Saiyan here, he'll grow stronger in other ways. He ends up going to Yardra, that place he was briefly at before, misdirected by Frieza. He briefly saw the inhabitants using some pretty odd techniques, and they even threatened to drain his energy before he even had the chance to attack. Luckily, he did nothing, because he immediately headed to Earth, but now he wants those techniques for himself. He wants to learn more about it, and for a while, he remains here. Honestly, the group is kinda glad that they don't have to deal with him right now. It's not like he was causing a lot of trouble, it's just, he was still kind of a wild card, so they weren't too sure what it was going to be like having him around. But who knows, maybe he'll come back from this experience as a changed person, in one way or another at least. And since they know Vegeta might come back way stronger than before, they're prepared for it. Goku and Gohan have been training with Super Saiyan, getting more practice with that. Yamcha gets more attuned with his Alpha form. This one was actually a little bit tougher to control than Super Saiyan, since a lot of the power was derived from animalistic instincts. But he is getting more of a hang of it, and he's growing a lot stronger. Roshi continues working with Kaioken. As Krillin, well, he just continues being Krillin. He doesn't really have anything unique for himself right now, but that doesn't mean I'm forgetting about him. And at this point, it's not like he really even needs anything. He's still one of the
Come on,
strongest
Krillin.
people around. And that's without a unique technique or form with him. That full power form of his works kind of as a temporary boost for him at least, but you can tell it's not something he'll stick with forever, especially after seeing the others getting their own things. No time travel ever appears, but the androids do. Of course, the Red Ribbon Army is still around, at least Duro is. There's no androids 19 and 20, instead, it's just 17 and 18. They attack one day, with the Dragon Team coming in, ready to fight, seeing that there's a threat on Earth again. With how powerful this threat seems, they assume at first it might be another alien invasion of some sorts. But it turns out it's actually two humans. Well, seemingly. And knowing how strong they've seen humans before, they're not really too surprised. I mean, just look at the group. Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Krillin, Roshi, Chi-Chi, Chaozu, everybody. All of them are so strong. So it's only natural that another strong human would show up. But these two are different. They're modified. They're androids. The group learns this when at first they can't even sense their ki, and Goku notices the logo of the Red Ribbon Army, knowing that they're responsible for these two. He's surprised to see more androids. I mean, he saw Android 8 before, but he didn't realize anyone was around to even create more in general. But it doesn't matter. They're here for Goku, and they found him. And the group's ready to stand up to them. Unsurprisingly, the androids would likely be noticeably stronger here. Duro has different data to work with and make them stronger by default, but also a huge thing about the scenario is that humans grow way differently, at least those with heavy access to ki. So while it doesn't mean every single person in this world is going to grow as strong as someone like Krillin here, for example, this would apply to the androids, especially since they're being genetically modified to be the strongest humans they could possibly be. Whether intentionally or inadvertently, this change in the series would have a big effect on the androids too. And no matter how strong the group is, it's going to be a tough battle. And at first, it seems the two androids are about evenly matched with the group, but their infinite energy becomes tougher and tougher to keep up with. And with the group split up between the two androids, that makes things even tougher. 17 and 18 let the group know they can keep this up forever. They're never going to be tired out. And they notice something really interesting. Goku specifically seems to be getting very tired out. Roshi wonders if it's that Super Saiyan form, but Gohan says it can't be. Yeah, it's still draining, but they've worked to make it way less draining than it was before. There's no reason for Goku to be struggling this much with it. I mean, just look at Gohan. He's handling it fine, actually. Goku doesn't know what's happening. He drops into base, then collapses to the ground.
Oh,
Gohan
not the
rushes
heart
in,
virus.
and Krillin jumps in. He says Gohan needs to stay here and fight. Krillin will make sure Goku's okay. Gohan's power could help turn the tide of the battle, so they need him here. And Chi-Chi joins along too. She does want to stay and fight and make sure everyone else is okay, but surprisingly, she agrees with Krillin. Gohan should stay behind. He's one of the stronger people in the group, and she tells Gohan he'll help them. He's a key reason for them to have the potential to win here. Reluctantly, Gohan agrees, staying back as Krillin and Chi-Chi take Goku away, trying to figure out what's going on with him. Kami's watching from the lookout. He would love to join in the battle too, but even with his power increase, he still might not be strong enough to help here, and he'd be putting everyone else at risk by doing so. He can't risk them losing the Dragon Balls again, but there is a way he can help out here. He teleports down to the surface, grabbing Goku, Chi-Chi, and Krillin and taking them up to the lookout, trying to figure out what's going on with Goku and see if he could fix it somehow. When he regained his youth, he gained a lot of other strange abilities, mainly powered up versions of things that he used to have before, or other latent Namekian abilities. He might even be able to heal Goku. He's not too sure though, especially because they don't even know what's causing this in the first place. On the battlefield, Tien turns to Yamcha. He has an idea of how to win here. He knows a technique they could use, something that could significantly turn the tide of the battle. But the issue is, he needs to buy some time. Before with Goku here, they might have been able to do so, but Goku got dropped out of the battle too quickly. He'll need Yamcha's help with this one, but with Yamcha actually being one of the strongest in the group right now, they can't have him taken away from the battle because then the androids will get a huge advantage. But luckily, somebody joins in to help them. Someone completely unexpected, especially because they don't even know how he got here in the first place. A familiar face materializes out of thin air, appearing behind Android 17. 17's confused at first and jumps back.
Vegeta!
Then he recognizes who this is. It's Vegeta. You know, they're not too concerned fighting him. But 18 looks over at 17. Did he see Vegeta arrive? And 17 didn't. He thought 18 did. Obviously, they wouldn't have sensed Vegeta's ki anyways, but they would have at least seen him arriving on the battlefield, right? Well, it doesn't matter. And Vegeta asks them, what are they confused about? Is it the fact that he just teleported in? And then it hits 10. He realized what happened. He asks, did Vegeta go to Yardrat? And Vegeta's surprised that 10 even knows about that. He remembers in Otherworld hearing of some technique that allowed people to teleport, but he was never able to find anybody from Yardrat to try and learn this technique. But seeing what Vegeta just did, he must have done that. Vegeta sarcastically congratulates him for noticing. That's exactly what he did. But that's not the only trick he picked up on. He sensed this battle going on and wondered what was happening. And 17 actually takes the opportunity to explain. They were here to kill Goku. They're engineered to be the strongest warriors they can be. And Vegeta gets a kick out of this. Really now. They won't be stronger than him though. And if anything, Kakarot's his prey, not theirs. He powers up, transforming into a Super Saiyan.
Yes, sir.
To the surprise of everyone else, especially Gohan. He knew Vegeta was trying to pursue it, but didn't know he actually obtained it. And 10 realizes, this is perfect, exactly what they needed. He looks over at the rest of the group. Gohan seems to be fine. Vegeta's at peak performance right now. Roshi's a little bit worn out from using Kaioken on and off, but he's fine. Especially since Piccolo keeps checking in on him, making sure he's alright with it, knowing how draining the technique can be for everyone else. 10 asks Roshi, Make a distraction. It doesn't matter how. Just help Vegeta and Gohan. And Roshi nods, saying he'll do whatever he can. Then Yamcha asks, what does he have in mind? And Tien asks Yamcha, how well could he dance? Wait, dance? While in Otherworld, Tien learned a very interesting technique, one that allows two people to fuse, but they need to be of a similar power and
Oh
a similar
my God.
and it requires a certain dance. Although, if they do mess it up, then the fusion will fail, and it'll just backfire if anything. But Yamcha would be the perfect fusion partner. They're around the same size, and even though Yamcha would have to lower his power a bit, they would be at a similar level if they did so. He wanted to try and teach this to the group someday, because Yamcha, Goku, and Roshi could really benefit from it, being around a similar height and power. Hell, even though Vegeta's a little bit short, maybe he could too. Tien isn't too sure how lenient the dance is, he hasn't really tested it out yet. But it should work perfectly between the two of them, and he shows Yamcha how to do it. Yamcha's terrified though. What happens if they screw it up? Tien says not to worry about it, because he believes that Yamcha could pull it off the first try. They're such close allies. Tien knows he has it in him. That's part of the reason why he's asking Yamcha. He could make a strong fusion with Vegeta, maybe even Piccolo or Roshi. But for Yamcha, the two of them are definitely very compatible for him. And Yamcha has great power to back it up. Piccolo, Vegeta, Gohan, and Roshi all hold off the androids. Gohan is still worried about Goku, but Kami tells them it'll be fine. Krillin and Chi-Chi are even teleported back to the battlefield. They honestly have no idea of what's going on with Goku, but Kami's gonna try and fix it. Although, things are looking bad. The androids are still pushing forward, having fun with this battle, and of course not being worn out. The city they were fighting is completely leveled. Roshi especially is getting worn out from Kaioken. He still hasn't perfected it.
Come on, Roshi.
But that doesn't deter him. He continuously fights, knowing that he needs to do so for Tien and Yamcha. But then, everyone senses a massive power nearby. The androids don't have a clue of what's going on, but they see a bright flash of light. A brilliant beam of light then flies across the battlefield, directly hitting Android 8, flinging her through a nearby building and then into the ground. They hear a voice yell to Danpa, or two voices yell it actually. She gets up and flies back in, and 17 wonders what that was.
All
How are they
right.
powerful enough to hurt her? But she says it's no big deal. They just got lucky. But then 17 receives a flurry of attacks from behind, a wolf-fanged fist, and they see somebody standing there. It looks like Tien, it looks like Yamcha, and his hairline is really messed up. Well, that's the one part he doesn't really like about this fusion. But this fused fighter proclaims that he's Tien-Sha,
Oh my
a
God,
fusion
what
of
the
Tien
fuck?
and Yamcha. Their powers aren't just added, they're significantly multiplied too. He wonders if he
Hell
uses Alpha
no.
Form, but for now, he just wants to test out his base, worried about how trying that will affect the fusion. And he might not even need that. He still has another trick up his sleeve too. 17 says he'll fight Tien-Sha alone. It won't be a big deal. And this is perfect. Tien-Sha realizes that he has an opportunity here. With the androids being so cocky, he can eliminate one, and then it'll be easy to kill the other. 2 extra arms come out of Tien-Sha's back, the 4 witches technique. This kind of freaks 17 out, but he's not deterred. The two of them begin fighting, and the rest of the group sees a chance to fight 18, and 17's amazed. Tien-Sha's power is way more intense than he thought, and briefly, he sees Tien-Sha's eyes change. Tien-Sha tries to summon the power of Alpha Yamcha, and it doesn't fully
Alpha
manifest
Yamcha.
itself, but part of that power is there. Those wolf-like eyes that Yamcha gains in that form appear here, with the fusion terrifying 17 as he glares at him. He unleashes a flurry of attacks, with 4 arms and his immense speed. 17 has no way to counter it, and it's perfect because he's separated from 18. And even though she's powerful, she has Piccolo, Roshi, and then 2 Super Saiyans fighting against her, as well as Krillin and Chi-Chi. They're wearing the androids out. But Tien-Sha still thinks this might not be enough, and he has the perfect plan. The 2 arms in his back stick up. As his 2 main arms continue fighting, telepathically, he tells the others in the group, lend him energy. In Otherworld, King Kai's actually keeping up with the fight, and he's amazed. He's actually gonna do it. Not only did he use fusion, but he's gonna use the Spirit Bomb. He can't believe it, and he's excited to see it finally used, wondering how well it'll turn out and how powerful it'll be. But he warns the fusion. The energy's gonna be pretty significant, but Tien-Sha knows that, and that's why he's using it here. The androids get way more confident, knowing that they're gaining ground now. It's because everybody's losing energy. They're not sure why, and they can't even tell that it's happening. But that's what is happening. The group is getting weaker, and they make fun of it too. But really, they're not growing weaker. That strength is getting transferred somewhere else. Vegeta even contemplates using Force Spirit Fission, but these 2 are mechanical. It probably won't even work. And either way, whatever Tien-Sha is doing, it seems like he should have enough energy. The androids look up. Amidst the fight, Tien-Sha's 2 other arms are charging a Spirit Bomb high up in the sky. And now it's time. With his 2 main arms, Tien-Sha performs a Thunder Shock surprise, and he yells to Roshi to do the same. 17 and 18 are paralyzed temporarily, and it takes both of their powers combined to actually do this. The 2 androids are drawn together, and then the Spirit Bomb comes towards them. Piccolo tells Gohan, Krillin, and Chi-Chi that they should help here. He forms a ring of energy in his hands, and they do the same. They're thrown at the androids, restraining them, and the Spirit Bomb is about to hit. But right before it does, the 2 androids break free from the restraints, quickly getting out of the way right before it strikes them. The Spirit Bomb flies off into the distance, slowly traveling as the androids stand there angry. Tien-Sha can't believe it. That was their one shot. That would have killed them. But then, the 2 androids disappear. They have no clue what's happening, but somehow, they're in front of the Spirit Bomb again. Vegeta quickly grabbed onto both of them, teleporting just in front of where the Spirit Bomb is about to land. He smirks, and waves goodbye as he teleports away, with the 2 then immediately being hit by the attack. The 2 androids are destroyed,
What I'm talking about,
completely,
Vegeta?
with the Spirit Bomb flying out into space. Well, Vegeta kinda came in clutch there. Again, that was the second time he helped out here. He tells them to save their thanks. He's just glad he got to show what his true powers like. Tien defuses, and Tien thanks Yamcha again. Yamcha says he's just glad it worked out, and that should be the last of it. Although, they're wondering how Goku's doing. But the sky then goes dark, almost like someone summoned Shenron. But Krillin knows what this is. Kami was just telling him about this. From what Kami could tell, Goku had some sort of sickness, and it was pretty serious. There was no way for him to reverse it, but Shenron probably could, and that's exactly what happened. Kami was able to summon Shenron, gathering the Dragon Balls amidst the fight, and summoning Shenron to ensure Goku would survive. Had he actually died from this, well, they couldn't bring him back, since it would be a natural sickness. And Kami wants to stay true to his resolution. He wants to help Earth as much as possible, and that doesn't just mean he needs to be stronger, that means all of Earth's warriors, the ones who trained underneath him, they need to be stronger too, and he can't let them die on his watch. If he has the power to save them, he'll do that. It's not just physical strength either, something like that, being able to summon Shenron, creating a way to heal Goku like that. That's a way for him to assist. A big part of the scenario is that the humans want to become a lot stronger. So after seeing the android especially, there was naturally a pretty big question. The humans wonder if they should become androids too. I mean, they are very powerful as is. Yamcha even considers this, but feels like Bulma wouldn't like it. And the funny thing is, Bulma would be the one to actually do the procedure too. By now, they're most likely married. And he's actually fine as is. He thinks his alpha form would be great, and he'd rather work on that than trying to do something completely new. Tien kind of views it as a shortcut, and he has a few better ideas. He tries to go back to Otherworld again too, seeing King Kai once more. And as for Roshi, well, he already has eternal youth. He doesn't really need this. But there is one person who is pretty interested in the idea, Krillin. He thinks it would be very smart. Sure, it's a little bit of a shortcut, but who cares? It gives him infinite energy. That's really all that he wants. He just wants to have that. It's not like he needs to be genetically modified to be sturdier like the androids or something. No, he's already strong enough as is. But having that infinite energy, that could be pretty huge. Especially because he feels like he's kind of stagnating here. He does have that full power form, but he wants to get something beyond that too. And maybe, if he had unlimited reserves of energy, that could help him get whatever he has in mind. He's still not completely sure yet, but he decides to go for this. And Bulma's a little bit hesitant because it's weird. She checks in with Krillin. Does he know what he's asking for? He's asking to have an engine installed in him. Yeah, he doesn't care. Infinite energy? That's awesome. Imagine how much training he could do with that. Well, he seems pretty motivated for it, so she helps him out and tells Yamcha she hopes he doesn't get any bright ideas. He reassures her he doesn't want that, but he's interested to see how it'll affect Krillin. Of course, after the android saga, we're entering a brief time skip. This upgrade for Krillin happens pretty much immediately after. But what else happens in the meantime? Well, for one, Goku and Gohan are of course still training, eventually even achieving Super Saiyan 2. But again, they're not really the focus of this scenario, even though they are very powerful here. We are more focused on all the other stuff with the humans. Oh yeah, Goten is born too. But again, more importantly, what happens with the humans? Well, as for Roshi, he and Piccolo actually work together a lot more. It's so strange, considering Piccolo, at least the old version of him before he reincarnated, he killed Roshi beforehand, and now they're kind of training partners in a way. The irony isn't lost on either of them. They both realize how strange of a situation it is, but it just goes to show how much Piccolo has changed from the person he was before. The two are both very powerful, and they're both using the same technique, Kaioken. As for Roshi, he's utilizing his great skill and knowledge as a martial artist, and that helps him make the technique a lot more efficient and allows him to use it at higher levels. Of course, he can't use it like how Piccolo does. He can't regenerate, so if his body's being torn apart by it, yeah, he kinda has to work on that first. As for Piccolo though, that's his big advantage. Besides him already having a lot of experience with Kaioken, the thing that makes him really strong with it is the fact that he's advantaged by default with the regeneration that he has. And it's kind of necessary to reiterate, that doesn't mean he could just infinitely use Kaioken. No, it still does drain his stamina whenever he regenerates. He's able to use Kaioken at higher levels and his body will adapt to it at some point. And the more he practices it with it, the more efficiently he could use it and the higher levels that he could use with it too. But obviously, it still is going to take a huge hit on his stamina. Even though his body is regenerating when it's being torn apart, it uses some of his power to regenerate in the first place. Still, it's a pretty huge advantage. We already kind of covered Yamcha. He's going to be sticking with his alpha form. Honing it even further, he sees Goku and Gohan evolving Super Saiyan, and he still has no clue of what this form is, but wonders if he could evolve it in some way too. Super Alpha Yamcha or something? Well, for now he's just going to work on using the form at its full power, trying to harness complete control of it and the ki that comes from it too. Which eventually he does so. Think of it kind of as his version of Super Saiyan Grade 4 or something. And Tien, well, he goes back to Otherworld, learning more techniques and training with all the people up there too. It's a great place to go in the meantime. Even Chaozu comes along too. He's kind of lagging behind still, but this will actually help him catch up a little bit more. There is still one person I'm missing though. I said the Saiyans weren't a big focus here, but Vegeta's a completely different character here right now. At least his backstory is. He's still not really that great of a guy. He's still kind of the anti-hero here. After the fight with the androids, he pretty much immediately leaves Earth. At first, he was considering, try to get the Dragon Balls, maybe use it to revive people, like Raditz and Nappa maybe, but then he reconsiders thinking they're kind of weaklings anyways and it's already too far gone for that. he doesn't really have a reason to revive them.
Right.
And he still thinks the Dragon Balls only revive people, but he feels like there's gotta be something more to it. But he doesn't really care about that anymore. For one, if he tried to seek out the Dragon Balls, he'd surely be stopped by everybody there. Yeah, he's powerful on his own, but there's a lot of strong people there too. Who knows, maybe those two humans could use fusion again against him. Even with Spirit Fission, they'd be a great distraction and a huge challenge before he could defuse them. Gohan is a Super Saiyan, probably stronger than Vegeta too. And now that Kakarot's cured from that virus or whatever, he could probably defeat Vegeta too. Vegeta's already got a great advantage in techniques though, and he wonders, maybe he should go around the universe. You know, going to Yardrat was very helpful, so what if you found other planets with great techniques like that? Or at least go back to Yardrat in general. He's not entirely sure of what to do, but he kind of leaves on his own accord. Unannounced too, they all wonder what Vegeta's up to. He doesn't really seem like too much of a threat here. It's not like he's gonna come back and destroy them all, but they're still curious as to what he's up to. He's very to himself, very secluded, which kind of makes sense to them anyways. It's just strange. They wonder what's going on in his mind. The thought even crosses his mind to get the Dragon Ball somewhere else and try to get immortality that way, but he doesn't really care about that. Immortality makes things a little bit too easy for him. Not to mention, he doesn't even know where he could even look for other Dragon Balls too. I mean, there's Namek, maybe he can go there, but they're probably on guard now anyways, especially after what happened with the last time they were there. He'd rather not try and chase Dragon Balls, which might amount to nothing. Instead, he's gonna chase actual techniques that could amount to something. And the best part is, he has really easy ways to transport himself around the universe. Instant transmission. He can leave this soft planet and do whatever he pleases. Working even further on Force Spirit Fission too. So that basically covers that little time skip. Now we enter the Buu Saga. As a little bit of a side note, I'm gonna say all the great Saiyan stuff still does happen. It still seems like something Gohan would do. The only difference is Gohan's already been keeping up with his training still, because Goku's still around to motivate him. Not to mention Roshi, who was his teacher at one point a while back. He has a lot of good influences, and he's going to be a good influence on Goten as well. Especially because, unfortunately for Goten, there's no Trunks here. But he still has Gohan around, and the two train together a lot as brothers.
That's cute.
Also training with Goku a lot too. And, obviously, Chi-Chi, another huge influence here. There's no reason for both of them to not be training. Goku's alive, Chi-Chi's actually a fighter here, and the fact that pretty much everyone around them influences that. You guys could probably guess where I'm going with the Buu Saga though. I know, I skipped the Buu Saga a lot in some scenarios, but hey, in my defense, a lot of the more recent ones had the Buu Saga. It's not that I don't like it, it's that you just need a lot of very specific things to happen in a good order to actually cause it to happen. And here, I just kind of see it being avoided. So, why is that? Well, on one hand, it could have happened. I mean, there's a lot of people here with lots of power to absorb, so there's a lot more potential targets for Babidi to take power from.
Right.
Maybe he could have tried to possess Vegeta, but Vegeta's not even here. That would have been very easy, especially since Vegeta's not connected with the group at all. But that's not a possibility, whether that's before the tournament or when they actually arrive at Babidi's ship. At best, Spopovich and Yama would probably be able to steal some energy at the tournament, but there's a lot of things that happen differently here. Everyone being stronger means that there's more energy to take, but that doesn't benefit Babidi at all if he can't actually get to them and take that energy. These people are very smart. They have great guidance and there's a lot of great minds working together. Once the Kais come to Earth, they're able to formulate some much better plans to actually infiltrate Babidi's spaceship. And by the time they get there, it's not like Majin and Vegeta would be a thing, like I mentioned before. I mean, Babidi might be able to try and look into other people's hearts. You know, Tenshinhan wasn't that great of a guy before, and obviously Piccolo's there too. He's another potential target, but they're way too far reformed, and they wouldn't willingly give in to it like Vegeta did. And that's the thing, he willingly gave into it. These two, they wouldn't do that, and they'd probably be a lot harder to possess anyways. And other than that, he can't possess anybody. And it's not like his troops are going to do anything either. Pui, Yakon, and even Deborah, they won't be a challenge for anybody, especially if Gohan, the Great Saiyaman, especially if the Great Saiyaman ends up facing Deborah. He's kept up with his training, so there's no reason for him to not be stronger here. There's other people in the group too that could possibly contend with him. Hell, it's not crazy to say that pretty much everyone in the group can contend with him. Honestly, I feel like everyone here with how strong they are, they'd all have a chance, besides Shin, Kibito, and probably Chi-Chi and Chaozu. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about them though. Chi-Chi's time is coming soon. But yeah, with all that, the Buu Saga is completely avoided, with Deborah and Babidi easily stopped. A crisis averted. Although this does lead to something pretty interesting. Tien meets the Supreme Kai, Shin. He's heard about him. Obviously he's been in other worlds so much. And Shin actually has heard about Tien too. I mean, the other Kais all know about him. All the other directional Kais have seen Tien as well. Even one of his rivals in Otherworld, Python. He's another student of another Kai. Especially with all the time he spent training there, there's no way that he hasn't met some of the other Kais around there. And word about this fighter from Earth, this living fighter, it's definitely got around to the other Kais. And Shin already knows what Tien's gonna ask. I mean, he could read minds after all. And he says yes before Tien can even ask it. Tien wanted to be a student of his. And Shin says it could be pretty interesting. But if he's so highly regarded by all the other Kais, then Tien would be a great person to train under him. Who knows? Maybe he could even pull the Z-Sword. And Tien's grateful for this. But he does have one request. While he's there training with them, can he bring a friend along? And Shin says he already kind of expected Tien to ask that. What, because he was reading his mind? No, actually, he already did kind of expect this. After hearing about Tien from the Kais, he's also heard about Pikkon, and Tien was actually going to ask if Pikkon could come along. All of Tien's friends on Earth have heard about Pikkon. He's apparently some really strong dead guy, and they hope they get to see him one day too. But since both of them are so strong in Otherworld, Shin says it's only natural that they want to train under Supreme Kais now. He'd be glad to get both of them as students. Thankfully for everyone here, this leads to another long period of peacetime. Besides the conflict with Bobby and Deborah, there hasn't been anything bad since the androids. But it's long overdue. There's somebody out there seeking a rival, a godly figure that had a premonition, one of a Super Saiyan god. It's Beerus. At some point, he will wake up, still wanting to seek out the Super Saiyan god. But he hears something really interesting. There's apparently this planet called Earth, and not only do Saiyans live there, but a bunch of other strong people live there too, at least by regular mortal standards. But what interests him most is the fact that Saiyans live there, as well as apparently some guy that's the student of the Supreme Kai. This planet must be really interesting. There's no way there's not a Super Saiyan god on that planet. So Beerus immediately heads there, locating Goku and Gohan, his two candidates for Super Saiyan God. They're apparently the strongest Saiyans around. I mean, he did hear that Vegeta's still around too. But here on Earth, he heard there's 3 Saiyans, all from the same family. One of whom being a hybrid, who apparently has some pretty great potential, and one of whom just being a pure Saiyan. And these two, they were both actually the first Super Saiyans. And they'd definitely be glad to help, but they have no clue what a Super Saiyan God is. Although, Shenron might have an idea, with Kami suggesting that they ask him. Once he sees Beerus here, he'll do anything to try and please Beerus. Seeing a god this powerful is just insane for him. Even as the Guardian of Earth, he feels pretty much like nothing in comparison. And of course, they hear about the Super Saiyan God ritual. So, they're gonna need a few extra Saiyans. They only have 3 here. Well, we kinda gloss over the Buu Saga, but Gohan and Videl are actually together still in this scenario. And she would butt in and say they have Pan, or at least the fact that she's pregnant with another Saiyan, so maybe that does count. But they still need 2 more Saiyans. And Goku says maybe Vegeta would help, although they have no clue where to look for him or what he's up to. And there's also another problem. Is he even eligible for the ritual? They have no clue. They apparently need 5 other righteous Super Saiyans. They don't know if Vegeta would necessarily qualify as that. Although, we're going to make the ritual more lenient here and say they just need 5 other Saiyans. But Beerus does remember Whis mentioned that Vegeta's out there somewhere. Maybe Whis could find him. And sure enough, Whis is able to locate him. And they're about to go to his location. But instead, Vegeta surprisingly teleports over to them. I mean, he could teleport. Whis says it's easier to just have him teleport over here. All he needed to say was that Lord Beerus was requesting him. Vegeta's there dumbfounded, having no idea of who contacted him. But he sees Beerus and Whis standing there.
Lord Beerus!
And Whis, some random guy, speaking to him across the entire universe. Of course, that's going to set some alarms off and tell Vegeta that this is legit. And they fill him in. He says he will join in on the ritual, but there's a condition. He agrees to this only if he's the one to become a Super Saiyan God. I mean, it's like they said, they don't even know if he's compatible in the ritual. Apparently 5 other Saiyans need to lend their energy to one other Saiyan. Maybe it'll work better if they lend it to him. Maybe that last one doesn't need to be so righteous. And Beerus tells Vegeta to not act cute. He's not going to blackmail them, especially because they still need another Saiyan, not just Vegeta. But Vegeta says that's exactly where he could help. Consider this a bargain of sorts. He knows another Saiyan out there, one who could probably help with the ritual. Well, actually a few others, but there's one who's particularly interesting. He explains, ever since he left Earth, he's been seeking out more fighters. He's been trying to grow in power too. Eventually he achieved Super Saiyan 2, even going beyond that, getting Super Saiyan 3, but he still wanted more strength, more power. And one day he came across a power that surprised him. It ended up being another Saiyan. Of course, he even sought out his brother Tarble, but Tarble wasn't one to fight. This other Saiyan, he was. This was Broly. When he detected this power and teleported to the planet, it was some abandoned planet where he met Paragus and Broly. And naturally, Paragus sent Broly to attack Vegeta. But there were 2 big things working in Vegeta's favor here. One, the fact that he was way stronger, even being able to utilize Super Saiyan 3 in battle. But he didn't even get to use that. The other thing that worked in his favor is the fact that Paragus electrocuted Broly before he went fully berserk. Knowing that it would be risky, Vegeta might have killed Broly. And if he let Broly fight any longer, there's no way that he would have survived. He would have went berserk and probably destroyed everything, killing all 3 of them in the process. Paragus had no hope of standing up to Vegeta, but Vegeta said they could mutually benefit. It took a lot of convincing, especially with Paragus' hate for Vegeta. But Vegeta was able to get them off the planet, and in exchange, he wanted to train with Broly, learn more about the Saiyan's power, the same that he detected out in space. He was about to bring them back to Earth, but decided it's probably better if he trains with Broly on this barren planet out in the middle of nowhere. And as for Paragus, well, he had the perfect place to send him, Planet Tech Tech, where Tarble is. Paragus didn't even know that King Vegeta had another son. And the thought crosses his mind to probably enact revenge on Tarble, but he realized how stupid that is when he sees how completely different Tarble is from other Saiyans. Also, if he does try anything here, Vegeta will definitely seek him out and kill him instantly. So yeah, Paragus is on his best behavior.
I need to bring Tarble on the show, man.
Reluctantly, everyone agrees. Vegeta can become the Super Saiyan God, and he thanks Beerus for accepting. Quickly he teleports away, and then comes back with another Saiyan. It's Broly. They were actually training just now, and Broly's amazed to see this planet. Vegeta did tell him about it. Although Vegeta didn't really see a need to go back there, and Broly would be worried to go there anyways too because he didn't want to accidentally destroy everything. He still can't control his power. Again, the training's mutually beneficial. Not only does it allow Vegeta to grow stronger, but allows Broly to channel his power, trying to gain control on that as well. But that's not important right now. What's important is the fact that they could actually do the ritual. Well, maybe. The 5 Saiyans all get together, trying to channel their power into Vegeta. Broly can't even turn Super Saiyan, and obviously Pan's not even born yet. But miraculously, it still ends up working. You have the 3 pure-hearted Super Saiyans, Goku, Gohan, and Goten. And Pan's pure-hearted, even though she's not a Super Saiyan, and not even born yet. This ended up working in the original story anyways. And Broly, well, he's not a Super Saiyan, and he's probably not a righteous Saiyan either. And we could use either of those explanations for the ritual, but instead I'm going to say, let's have a little bit of leeway here. This isn't too crazy of a creative liberty, and I'm going to say here the ritual still ends up working. And now, we have Super Saiyan God Vegeta. Now with Super Saiyan God...
Alright, that was part 5 and 6. Oh man, it's getting really good. Hey, Saiyan, you put your foot in this one. I was really, really into it, man. And, yeah, I really do like how the other characters are getting their shine, man. Tien, Mr. Tien, trying to kind of become a beast, man. And then Krillin doing his thing. Yamcha got his own form. Roshi, Piccolo, all that. I really like this. Man. Keep doing it. I can't wait till the next parts, actually. So, you like my reaction, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.